This is a model that, on first acquaintance, has some complexity, but it doesn't really. And it really helps to plot where an individual person is in relation to the effort they're putting into the job they're in now, and maybe the one they aspire to, and also how long they intend to stay in their current organization. And it really does work. Its source is very credible. It's from the UK ACAS service, which is a service for employers and individuals to best work together in the workplace. And it has two axes. It has on the left side the intention to stay, low intention to stay, maybe a few days, maybe a few weeks, certainly not a few years, to a high intention to stay, which could be forever ultimately. So intention to stay is down one side. Across the top is the commitment to achieve. How much effort is prepared to be put in? How much of themselves are people, an individual, prepared to put in? So we then have four boxes. In the lower box, bottom left there, we have the skiver. It's a rather pejoratory word. It's not particularly pleasant, but then skivers don't actually provide very much return. A skiver is someone with a low intention to stay, equal to that, a low commitment to achieve. So I don't intend to be here very long. And while I'm here, well, I'll get away with as little as I can. And if people put pressure on me, my boss, whatsoever, I'll leave and find a nice, easy berth somewhere else. Now, that might sound a bit insulting, but I've seen too many of them to not believe that it's true. If you've got a skiver or you've got skivers, they need sorting out. They're not necessarily bad people. They might be given bad direction. They might have unrealistic targets. They might be just in the wrong job. It could have been a poor recruitment exercise. For whatever reason it might be, you shouldn't allow a skiver to become, the next box, a freeloader. Someone whose commitment to achieve is also low, but what makes them different to a skiver is their intention to stay could be high. They might have found themselves a nice, easy, low pressure place to be in an organization that doesn't expect much from them, and that suits them very much, thank you. They might have been there many years. They might be in managerial positions or other roles that have some significance. So they might not be people without authority or status, and that could be an additional problem because that creates a bit of a subculture around them. The key thing here, from a performance perspective, is not to allow a skiver to become a freeloader. Freeloaders are dangerous. They're hard to get rid of. They might have friends and connections that make them even harder to get rid of. And the action that should have been taken for freeloaders is to either get them into an eager beaver or a mercenary box, or to have encouraged them to leave for their own good. Find somewhere they might be more productive. I'm trying to be positive here. Let me move to the other boxes. These are the high commitment to achieve boxes. In the top box, we have, in a sense, the ideal person. This is the person who has a high commitment to achieve and also a high intention to stay. So they're worth investing in. These are the people with a loyalty towards the organization. These are the people who feel a commitment and engagement with the organization and feel it's an organization that suits them, that allows them to perform, and that is one they're prepared to make the effort for, over and above very often what's expected of them. That could almost be to a position of naivety. I sometimes hear people say, "Oh, I stayed here too long. I should have moved on." These are people who maybe, if I'm being unfair perhaps to some, may lack ambition. They might say, "Hey, this place suits me. I can be productive here. I can achieve what I want. I'm well thought of here. It's okay." And that's fine. We want people like that. We don't want people who are in the next box, I'm going to say, in too many quantities, because we need people who are the bedrock of the society, the society that is an organization. We need people who want to stay for the right reasons and want to deliver while they're there over a long period. Maybe there's less of them than I used to see back in the 80s, 90s, and so on, but they're still there. So we move on then to the D box. This is also a high performing person, a high commitment to achieve, maybe the highest energy being shown. maybe people who are showing a tremendous desire to learn, to develop, to get better at what they do. And the difference between themselves as a mercenary, again, it's a somewhat potentially loaded term. The difference between a mercenary and an eager beaver is the eager beaver is a stayer. A mercenary is not. I've been a mercenary in the two organisations I worked in prior to going independent in 1992. I made no bones about it. I made it very clear. It wasn't my intention to stay in the organisation for 30 years like some did. My intention was to give good return, to really put effort in, to be a worthwhile, productive person. Ultimately, I'll take that with me. Thank you very much. And I was hungry for every bit of accreditation, every bit of learning, development, and betterment I could get my hands on. And that's what mercenaries do. And that's not a bad thing. We shouldn't begrudge that. We get good value from mercenaries, but they're not eager beavers. The mercenary ultimately is going to leave the organisation when they're ready to, and maybe as part of a plan. We need to know if we've got a mercenary on our hands and not confuse them with an eager beaver, and vice versa. If we confuse an eager beaver for a mercenary, then we'd be misjudging them and not getting the best from them. This is a talent management model. It's a performance management model, and I think it's got a lot of value. It's not difficult to understand. It provides a framework to say, hey, person in front of me, where do you see yourself? Where are you now? Where can we get you to? Are you in danger of going into a box which isn't helpful for you or for the organization? Eager beavers can become freeloaders. Mercenaries can become skivers. Can skivers become eager beavers, or can skivers or freeloaders become mercenaries? That's a discussion to be had. I haven't got the answers to all of these questions very conveniently because they're contextual, they're organisationally specific, and they're dynamic. People don't stay in a box. You've got extreme eager beavers, the people who have naively stayed forever and they should have left 20 years before. You've got the extreme skivers. I'll just sit here literally until I'm given something to do. And if I'm sacked tomorrow, that doesn't bother me because I have no intention to put any effort in. Then you've got the skivers who are not in the far extreme of the box. You've got the skivers who, with a bit of effort and a bit of time, can have a desire built in them that might take them at least a little into the eager beaver box. So it's dynamic, it's very differentiated. These are very different people one to another. It's important to best understand where people see themselves, which might be different to where, for instance, a manager of any one person sees them. And I think it has a lot of possibilities. What do you think?